Yo, what's happening? It's your boy Obi-Wan. So I'm going to be making this long video on all these different mistakes that I see a lot of people make when they're trying to lose body fat. Now, one of the most common questions when you see the fitness industry is, how do I lose body fat? How do I lose body fat? I want to get diced. I want these bicep veins to show. I want my arms to start showing graininess and dryness. I want these love handles to go. I want my back to be more defined. I want my chest to be striated. How do I do this? How do I do this? I want leg veins. How do I do this? What are the tricks? There are so many misinformation and misleading mistakes out there in the fitness industry and the fitness net, and it really frustrates me. I've been training for a long time. Only in recent years have I been making noticeable progress. For example, making new PRs, getting to all-time low body fat percentages that I've never been able to reach in my entire life. And I just want to start giving out tips to people that I think is going to help them a lot and save them a lot of time and hassle from the mistakes that I've been making all these years, and just avoid misleading BS that can just easily be taken the wrong way. So I'm going to start in sections, and I'm going to try and guide people through it. And I might yap a bit, but it doesn't matter. It might even be a bit more entertaining. So if you want to grab some food or popcorn and watch this video, it's completely up to you. The first part I want to talk about is tracking. So what a lot of people do wrong is they're not even tracking their calories. So if you're someone who doesn't track their calories, that's one problem I'm going to make sure is sorted. So make sure you understand what calories are. So what I want you to do is I want you to start understanding the laws behind thermodynamics. So when you look at the backs of food packages, it says the calories per 100 grams. So any food packages or any drinks such as milk or anything like that, it'll show you how many calories it is per 100 milliliters. So that's basically it's this amount of calories per 100 milliliters. So you can use a calculator to recalculate if you want a certain amount of calories targeted. Now, one of the most useful tools that will help everybody, and I encourage everyone to get it, is a food scale. So a food scale basically weighs your food. So you need to turn it off. Sorry, not turn it off, but you need to turn it on and then turn it on to zero when you've got the plate on, and then you put the food in, and then it gives you the amount of weight in grams. So that's one thing I want you to do. So start getting a food scale, learning how it works, and then tracking these calories. Next part is, now that people understand their calories, they also need to understand that crash dieting is going to get them nowhere. Now, crash dieting is a common term people use for people who eat very low calories. Someone, let's say, who's eating 1,200 calories every day. They're just trying to cut aggressively, trying to lose weight as fast as they can. No, I don't want you to do that. This isn't going to work, and I'll tell you why. This is going to screw up a lot of things. It's going to screw up your hunger hormones. You're going to start feeling very hungry, and there are going to be occasional days where, out of impulse, you're likely going to start binging, and this happens a lot. A lot of these same people end up binging in certain days where it completely undoes the calories they were doing in the previous day, and as a result, they make zero progress, and it leads them in a frustration loop. I don't want you to do that. So instead, I want you to go in a moderate deficit. So what I mean by that is, you need to find your maintenance. Now, finding your maintenance calories is a whole different challenge, and it may challenge a few people, but it's not too difficult. And often, a lot of times in the first attempt, within maybe the first 2 weeks, people get it. So your maintenance calories is basically the amount of food you need to eat to be able to maintain your current weight. So everybody has something known as a total daily energy expenditure. So the total daily energy expenditure is the amount of energy you burn throughout the whole day, throughout basically of what you do. So if you're a very active person, you've got a lot of muscle mass. So the more muscle mass you have, the more metabolically active you are, by the way, guys. But people who are more active, so they walk more, they move more, and just people who do sports more, anything like that, that will all take into account of the total daily energy expenditure. And people with a faster metabolism will also have a higher total daily energy expenditure. So the higher your total daily energy expenditure, the more calories you need to consume to maintain your weight. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky when finding your maintenance calories, because it's slightly different from person to person. But in your case, what you can do is you can just go on a basic calorie calculator, put in your height, put in your weight, your age, obviously how active you are throughout the week, and you can basically just come in and it'll give you a guesstimate roughly as to how many calories you need to consume to maintain your weight, lose slight weight, or lose weight aggressively, or even gain weight if you wish. I personally recommend you go on a 200 to 300 calorie deficit and go for losing 0.5 kg per week. Now, the tricky part of this is you need to experiment. So you need to weigh yourself every single morning, go in with the calories that you're consuming. So once you think that you found roughly the amount of calories you need to consume per day to lose 0.5 kg per week, the next step is experiment with it. So try and weigh yourself every single morning throughout maybe 2 weeks and see how your weight fluctuates. Now, the tricky part is, at first, if you truly are in a deficit, you'll be losing a bunch of things. You might lose a bit of water retention because there's slightly less glycogen storage. So initially, you'll lose more than 0.5 kg. So you lose a bit more than that. So that's normal. But then once you notice you are losing weight in the scale, then that means you're doing it right. Obviously, you don't want to be crash dieting and consuming very little calories. That's the mistake a lot of people do. I don't want you to do that. I want you to consume roughly about 200 to 300 calories less than your maintenance. And then once you've done that and you've finally identified how many calories you need to consume to lose weight at the steady pace that you hope to lose it in, that's where it gets a lot easier. Now, whilst getting your calories in place is a fundamental part of the process, another thing people do not talk about in terms of the macros, and this is the mistake I did in my last cut that made it less tolerable, was having carbohydrates and slightly upping them a bit. Now, what I did in my last cut that was a bit of a mistake was I had too much protein. A lot of people give this common information saying that you need to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Whilst technically speaking, that's not wrong. Sometimes it's a bit of a stretch because that can make people have very little room for carbohydrate, and you need carbohydrates. Now, I'm going to get into this a bit. Carbohydrates are more important than people realize. And this is what really, really angered me in these past several years about cutting carbs. You often see a lot of people say you need to cut carbs out. Don't fall for this crap. Seriously, don't fall for that, because when I used to cut out carbs, right, cutting out carbs is going to have a lot of problems. Your body preferentially wants to use carbohydrates when it's in anaerobic conditions, for example, lifting weights or doing really aggressive, fast activity, perhaps such as boxing or any activity that requires any high intense type cardio activity that's going to require heavy breathing, along with lifting weights. That's anaerobic, and your body wants to go for more quicker sources of energy rather than just fat storage alone. So all these information on cut carbohydrates out, don't listen to them. Carbohydrates are not your enemy and are in fact your best friend in the gym, because they are one of the big keys to help maintain your muscle. Because a lot of times the reason why people lose muscle in the gym is because when they lack carbohydrates over time, their energy levels just start depleting and they become more lenient into losing their reps in the gym, which is something else I'm going to get into later in the video. So in terms of the macros, I'm going to get into more details to how to set it up. With the protein, you can get away with having 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Now, when you start this cut, you're likely very, very fat, okay? You're very, very fat. A lot of people are way fatter than they think. What I mean by this is a lot of people who tell themselves, I'm probably like 17% body fat. No, you're not. You're not. Believe me. You're probably most likely about 30% body fat. And you'll realize this when you're really that deep in the cut. So you can actually technically get away with 0.6 grams of protein per pound of body weight. That's when you're like really fat, because you've got so much fat on you. You don't need to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. You still not got a lot of lean mass relative to your fat yet. You're still in the very beginning, so you'd easily get away with that. The key is you'd want to leave good room for carbohydrates as well, because when you keep having your carbohydrates, you'd be able to still stay strong and maintain all the reps of your lifts and your isolations in the gym throughout your cutting journey, and even gain some strength by the end of it, because you shouldn't be losing strength in the gym when you cut. A lot of people think it's okay. No, it's not. The only times where it may be understandable is if you're going really low on body fat, such as single digit, or you're on prep. That's where strength loss may be unavoidable most of the time. But if you're just trying to shred down, chisel down some excess fat and get in good shape, no. Strength loss can easily be avoided. And in fact, you can easily gain strength if you do it correctly. Now, in terms of your fats, you should be having about 0.2 to 0.5 grams of fat per pound of body weight. And this is something people don't understand. People think that fats are not that important, but they are. They really are. They're more important than people realize. So your testosterone is a hormone. I take it most people who are watching this video already know what it is. Now, testosterone is responsible for muscle protein synthesis and just is also responsible for your overall energy levels as well. And when you don't have fats in your diet, your testosterone levels are going to crash. It's going to plummet below normal. So fatty sources such as avocados, fatty fish such as mackerel, sardines, salmon, also walnuts and almonds, all of these types of foods, dark chocolate, they all contain fats. And even full fat Greek yogurt, anything with high amounts of fats. So these are the types of foods that you should be having in your diet quite often, even eggs especially. So they help you with your hormones. And when your hormones start to crash, you'll notice that, your body will find it a bit harder maintaining the muscle because of the lack of testosterone. And you'll even notice that your energy levels don't even feel as great as they normally would. So, and also your cortisol as well. That's also another hormone that's dependent on fat cells. So fats also provide certain fats such as avocados, monounsaturated fats particular. They also help increase your HDL levels, which is a fundamental block that builds testosterone. So you don't want to miss the fats. You want to incorporate them as well. How I'd like to see it is make sure you get a solid amount of protein from the start, about 0.6 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, especially for the people who are somewhat overweight or overbulked when they start, because they got a lot of fat on them. They're not that lean yet. So they could get away with technically with 0.65 grams of fat per pound of body weight in the very beginning if they wish. And then obviously make sure you get the the fats in, so about 0.3 to 0.5 grams of fat per pound of body weight. The rest of the room of the calories, just use it for carbohydrates. Now, another part I want to talk about is maintaining the reps of your lifts in the gym from the day you were at your peak bulk throughout. Now, this is the part a lot of people mess up. A lot of people don't really care how many reps they get in the gym. They just want to focus on getting the session done. I don't want you to do that. I want you to be able to track your lifts. So go on a tracking app, have a note with all of your lifts, your isolation lifts, your compound lifts, just everything. Track how many reps you were able to do from the day you were at your peak bulk. Now, I want you to maintain those reps. Maintain them. If not, try and increase them if you can. Because if you still think that you can push another rep, why not go for it? But the main thing is just make sure you can maintain them. Now, the reason is your body is dependent on muscle stimulation. When you stimulate the muscle enough, then your body will basically adapt and it will try and grow the muscle stronger. But if over time you're doing less and less reps, then you're basically understimulating the muscle from the previous times it was stimulated. And over time, your body may start to become lenient to losing muscle tissue. Now, genuinely, when you're in a calorie deficit, your body is going to preferentially want to prioritize fat. It's as simple as that. Your body wants to burn fat. Your fat is just stored energy. So your body's going to lose fat regardless. But if you can easily not lose muscle and do this whole process efficiently, then you got to do it efficiently. So maintain those reps in the gym. Now, you may start feeling slightly tired throughout your whole journey in the cut. You will, because you're in a deficit. You're going to feel tired at one point. It's unavoidable. But the good news is, if you're disciplined and you're able to push the reps, your body's not going to stop you from doing that. You will be able to push these reps. Trust me. From however many reps you were able to do at your peak bulk, if you push it to the fullest, you can do it. Your energy won't feel great, but actually pushing it to the full reps is easily doable. So you got to trust yourself on that. When I mentioned to you that strength loss isn't avoidable, the one thing that you should do to make sure you don't lose significant strength throughout, and that's for people who are pretty high in body fat and they want to get really low, is the longer you drag a deficit, depending on how aggressive it is. For example, an aggressive cut, you won't last long until maybe your body will start getting tired. But a slow cut, it's only a matter of time. But you can drag it for so long, but eventually your body will start tapping out. Your body doesn't like being in a deficit. It's as simple as that. Your body doesn't want to be in a deficit because you're eating less food than what it needs to sustain its weight. So your body will react in some way. Over time, that is, the longer it's dragged, your body will increase the risk of increase in cortisol, which is a stress hormone. Cortisol can have catabolic effects. What I mean by catabolic effects, it can induce muscle breakdown more, and it can just affect your overall sleep. Now, sleep is important for recovery, right? You need sleep. Sleep is something you do not want to miss, guys. Make sure you're getting 7+ hours sleep if you can, but also it can lower your testosterone over time, which is unavoidable. If you're somebody who's quite overweight, what I mean is if you're somebody starting at like 30% body fat, which is quite common in a lot of people who start this cut are likely starting from 30% body fat. They just don't know that yet. You might be one of them as well. Now, when you start at like 30% body fat, it's going to take a long journey. It's going to take a long time. It's as simple as that. You can't avoid that. Your cut is going to take a long time. You may think, oh, I need to lose 10 kg to be where I want to be. No, you wouldn't. You'd probably need to lose 30 kg. I know it sounds insanely ridiculous, but you'd be surprised how much fat you truly store. I was surprised about that myself. I was about 100 kilograms when I was here, nearly 100 kg. In fact, I was 100 kg when I started here. Here, I was about 74 kg. I had to lose about 25 kg to get there. I never thought I'd have to lose anywhere near this much. So this is how much fat people truly store, and it's ridiculous. Now, this clearly means that you're going to be doing this process for quite some time. So what should you do if you start feeling a bit tired? You start feeling like your sleep's getting interrupted, you're feeling really hungry more, your energy levels are starting to dip. This is where it's okay to go on a maintenance phase. So go back to maintenance calories. So you can add maybe 400 calories, although this might sound a bit oversimplified or overspecific. So you need to go back on the calculator sometimes just check it specifically for you. But you need to increase your calories again. Don't increase your protein. I would recommend increasing your carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is the specific calories to up when you're deciding to go on a refeed or a maintenance break. Now, the whole purpose of the maintenance break is just to reset your hormones, because likely your cortisol levels, your testosterone levels, your hunger hormones such as your ghrelin and your leptin are just unbalanced, and they've suffered a little bit throughout this whole deficit. And the idea is within these few weeks, you can stretch it from 2 to 4 weeks, is to basically help your hormones settle. So when you're going back to it, you're basically maintaining all the strength easier because you're preventing your body from maintaining its catabolism. You're basically allowing your hormonal environment to reset and be more friendlier. So when you get back on it, it's a lot easier to continue to keep going. Because I see a lot of people when they reach about 12% body fat, they're still not even single digit body fat percentage yet, and they feel super lethargic, they feel tired, weak, and they blame the body fat that they're in for the reasons they feel like that. No, it's not. It's not because of the low body fat that you're in. It's probably because you've been at a deficit for God knows how many months without giving your body a break. That's probably the reason why, my friend. And a lot of these people say that they're single digit body fat. They're not single digit body fat. Believe me, trust me, you are not single digit body fat. I see people who are the same body fat and they maintain it just fine, and they're not on gear, by the way, they're natural, but they still maintain it. So yeah, taking a maintenance break is another very, very key thing. So you can't miss out on the maintenance breaks. Now, a lot of common questions people ask is, how do I get rid of the love handles? How do I get rid of the belly that's hanging beneath my lower abs? How do I get my face to chisel up? It's all the same thing. It is all the same. You just have to keep going. There's no special trick. There's no like special hack, none. You just got to do the long, ugly, sucky process. Like if you just continue going, eventually you will notice that your face is getting leaner, and you will notice that your love handles are starting to go. So you just got to be patient. You just got to keep on going, and eventually they'll go. Another thing I'd recommend that will make it a lot easier for your body is micronutrients. So what I mean is foods that can, like vitamins and minerals, right? Vitamin A, the different types of B vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, and then obviously there's vitamin K. And then obviously there's all the different minerals such as the calcium, the copper, manganese, magnesium, all of them. So you want to eat foods that are whole foods primarily, because they're the foods that will contain a lot of different micronutrients. So whole foods, so long as you're providing your body decent micronutrients, so whole foods like avocados, fatty fish, eggs, chicken, beef, shellfish. I mean, shellfish is quite hard to obtain, to be fair. Different types of fruits, dense fruits such as kiwis, oranges, and then certain vegetables that you should never miss out. Kale, spinach, foods like them, you should not miss. These are like the fundamental foods. And then obviously there's dairy foods such as milk. And then there's obviously fatty foods such as avocados, there's dark chocolate, etc. Make sure you primarily provide your body the whole foods that provide the micronutrients, because it will make your body feel more fulfilled with the calories that it takes in, even though it's on a deficit. It makes it a lot easier. So that's one thing I want you to do. Try and primarily compose yourself of that. Now, I'm not saying you should live a restricted lifestyle completely. Obviously, the more restricted you live in, the more selective you are with the meals you eat. I'm just saying that you will likely fulfill your potential more. It is okay to have some portion of calories on foods you enjoy. That's understandable. We all have our favorite foods that we want to have from time to time. But at least make sure that a lot of the calories you eat are from the foods that your body needs, right? Now, in terms of cheat meals and cheat days, I personally never felt the urge to go to cheat meals, cheat days from the beginning of my cut to I'm doing this cut now and I've never had a cheat meal or a cheat day. That's personally because I'm happy with the foods that I eat. So the foods that you select that are nutritionally beneficial for your body, make sure it's something that you actually like as well. Because if it's something that you don't like and that you're force feeding yourself, it's going to make the whole process a lot harder. And there's a lot of psychological factors into the game in this. In fact, I'm going to make a separate video on this. This video alone is already more than long enough, and I've already explained a lot of different mistakes people make on the cut. I'm going to make another video probably addressing a whole bunch of different points, which I probably forgot to mention on this video. Peace out.